Good afternoon, friends. Noon, friends. I love these things. They're like antioxidant carbonated water. It's delicious. Mr. Keller and I just went and played some tennis. I'm sure I will have shared some pictures with you on GroupMe. I hope you got outside today. It was hot. I thought it was supposed to rain. Also, this one was not amused that we left the house without her. So she is feeling a little needy right now, so she's going to help us with the read aloud. All right. So when we left off, Dessa and her family, minus father, were planning on staying with one of Jimmy's friends for a couple of days before they officially moved down to Flint from Gary. So let's continue with Chapter 20, The Girl in the Mirror. The woman who answered the door was strikingly beautiful and long-limbed and dressed in a flowing robe that looked like an orange cloud had left the skies and was floating around her legs. She smiled and hugged Jimmy. "Little Jimmy, I know you from the park. I love your voice, Papa." Mother was so mortified that I thought she was going to swoon. The woman told the numbers man, "I'm only doing this because it's little Jimmy's family. You already dumped that Carter woman and her brat in the basement, and that's that. This ain't no hotel or no orphanage, neither." Marvelous Marvin said, "Woman, please." She pointed at me. "I'd best not catch you snooping around my sister's room, either." My second brain said, "Kiddo, one punch and she's down for the count." Mother said, "We won't be a bother, ma'am. We'll be out of here as quick as we can. Thanks for having us." The woman snorted and pointed at a closed door. "That's where y'all stayin'. Cynthia's only gonna be gone for a week, so don't get too comfy. Little Jimmy can sleep on the couch." "Thanks very much." Mother pushed me toward the room. Inside, she leaned against the door and put her hand over her eyes. It was the most beautiful room I'd ever been in. It was like it came out of a magazine. The bed had fancy blankets and fancy pillows, and the lampshades were pink and frilly, and everything matched, even the curtains. There was a small low desk with a little chair in front of it. A long tall mirror was in the middle of the desk. Sitting on the desk was a bunch of exquisite, different-colored little bottles with gold tops and rubber bulbs held to their sides by a little skinny piece of hose, looking like gigantic diamonds or rubies. There was also a picture of a beautiful woman and a little boy in a gold frame. "Oh, Mother." She wasn't as impressed as me. "Be careful, Dessa. All of this nonsense is very expensive." "What are those bottles?" "They're called atomizers. You squeeze the rubber bulb and it shoots out a mist of perfume." Mother went to the desk and picked up one of the bottles. She sniffed the top. "I can't believe it. They're living just as well as the Cardsteels. On second thought, I do believe it. Both they and the Cardsteels live off of poor people's nickels and dimes." "Can I smell one?" "Of course, dear." I walked over to the desk and reached for the darkest blue bottle. I closed my eyes and brought it to my nose. Yuck! It was too strong. Like kerosene and flowers mixed together. Something caught my eye. I said, "Oh." A little girl was staring at me. I put the beautiful blue bottle in my left hand and brought it to my right hand to my face. The girl's cheeks were hollow and her face was thin. She was doing the same thing I was. Her dress was clean but raggedy looking. Her hair was neatly braided and greased. Her left hand was touching her cheek. Her mouth was open, a little bit like she was saying, "Oh." She had a beautiful blue perfume bottle in her right hand. Her eyes were tired and sad, but she stared right back at me. Over the girl's shoulder, Mother was sitting on the bed with her face in both of her hands. I looked back into the girl's sad brown eyes. "Well, kiddo, what do you think?" I bit down on my back teeth, and the girl's face twisted in pain. I couldn't look away. There was a knock, and Mother looked at me and whispered, "Dessa, quick, put that back." She called, "Come in." I put the atomizer back and turned around as the door opened. Jimmy closed the door behind him, and his eyebrows were jumping all over his forehead. He was smiling like the Cheshire Cat. "Well," he whispered, "pretty cool, huh?" Mother reached out and slapped Jimmy's cheek hard. "How dare you? How dare you?" "What?" Jimmy said. Mother reared her hand up again but stopped. "How dare you associate with this criminal? What do you do when you're supposed to be at school? Do you think your father and I raised you to be in the company of people like this?" "Mother," I said. Jimmy said, "What? I didn't do nothing wrong, nothing." "How do you know this man well enough to have him put us up?" "I told you, when I sing in the parks, lots of people listen to me." "So this is the kind of life you want to live, all fancy and big shot like this, driving around in a brand new Buick, wearing trashy clothes. If Roscoe Malone saw this, he'd strangle both you and that man." Jimmy busted out into full tears. "I ain't done nothing wrong. He just likes my singing." Mother grabbed his shoulders. "Don't you see? This is how it starts. Don't you see 1 minute you're carrying a straight razor and the next it's a gun? Or do you already have one of those?" "Ma, I swear I don't do nothing wrong. I only went with him 'cause we didn't have nowhere else to go, and he always said I should look him up if I need something." "Jimmy, this is how young men get trapped. You think he's doing you any favors? You will owe him. I guarantee he'll have you doing little things for him in no time. I guarantee." Jimmy wiped his eyes. "Ma, how come you always think I'm going to do wrong?" "I know what's right. He's been trying for the longest time to get me to run numbers for him. I always said no. I ain't stupid. I was only keeping my word to Pa. I was only trying to look out for you and Dessa." He pulled away from Mother. "You don't give me credit for nothing. Nothing." He turned and walked out of the door and closed it softly. Mother sagged onto the bed, and I sat beside her. We hugged each other. I got up and put my hand on the doorknob. "Mother, go ahead, Dessa, bring him back. I don't want either of you leaving this room." I heard squeals and giggles coming from the backyard. A girl about 6 or 7 years old was getting pushed on a swing by a woman. Jimmy was sitting on another swing. The girl dragged her feet so the swing stopped. "Are you Jimmy's sister?" "Yes, my name's Dessa." Her nose twisted. "That's a funny name. My name's Eppie, but my real name's Epiphany." I said, "That's a beautiful name. It means you're like a light coming on all of a sudden." The little girl had a very fresh mouth. "You've got a weird name and I don't know nothing. I'm named after a song, not no light." Jimmy said, "Sarah's Epiphany?" The woman said, "How do you know that song?" I said, "He's a singer, ma'am. He knows just about every song in the world." "Y'all from Chicago?" "No, ma'am, we're from Gary." So good. "You must be kin to Marvin, or that sad excuse for a woman." "No, ma'am, we're just staying here for a few days before we ride back to Flint." "In Michigan?" "Yes, ma'am." "That's north of here, right?" "Yes, ma'am." "Ooh, girl, how old do you think I am? You gotta quit calling me ma'am. I'm Miss Carter." "Sorry, Miss Carter." "Flint anywhere near Detroit?" "It's geologically located 60 miles northwest of Detroit." "So y'all are going through Detroit to get to Flint?" "I think so." "Who's carrying you to Michigan?" Jimmy said, "I might ask Marvin how much he charged us to take us in that big Buick." She started pushing Eppie again. "Don't do it. The sooner you get away from that character, the better. But if you hear someone else going that way, let me know. There's supposed to be lots of work in Detroit." "You're leaving too?" "Child, as soon as I can. The friendlier Marvelous Marvin gets, the meaner that woman does." I asked, "What will you do if you can't find someone else to take you? If nothing else comes up in a day or two, me and Eppie won't have no choice but to ride the rails. We did it before. I'd rather get drove, but you gotta do what you gotta do." Jimmy said, "Ride the rails? You really hopped a train before?" "It's not like we jumped on no moving train. This is Chicago, son. There's a million boxcars sitting in the yard, and someone's always knows where they're going. Jimmy's eyes met mine. What choice did we have but to try to get Mother to go along? After Miss Carter and Eppie went back to their basement, Jimmy and me sat on the swings and talked about how we could get Mother to hop on a train with us. Jimmy said, "What do you always tell me, Dessa? The truth is the best way. We just gotta ask her what other choice we have if we're gonna get to Flint and Paw." You're right, but it won't be easy. When we went back into the room, Mother hugged Jimmy and apologized. Jimmy said, "It's okay, Ma. I know you're just worried. But, Ma, we gotta get out of here." "Yes, son, we do." I explained about Miss Carter and the train. We were both stunned when Mother said, "Let's talk to her and see what we have to do." Miss Carter stood in our room and looked at our boxes. "The main thing is, you have to travel light." Mother said, "We only have these 7 boxes." Miss Carter said, "You each, can carry 1 blanket full of the most important things." Mother sighed. "Well, let's just see what we can leave then." Uh-oh. Even though a dictionary and thesaurus were the most important things to me, they wouldn't be for most people. And how many essays could I take? We set our boxes on the bed, and Mother took 3 blankets and spread them out. We emptied the boxes and started putting things into a blanket or back in a box to stay in Chicago. A few pots and pans went in Jimmy's blanket, along with a kitchen clock and some knives, spoons, forks, wrapped in paper towels. Miss Carter said that anything made out of glass, like plates, drinking glasses, and the bowls, have to stay. They'll just end up breaking. So we took 3 tin cups. Miss Carter said, "Most camps have cans you can use for plates, but it's best if you can find some tin plates and hold on to them." Mother said, "We don't really intend to spend any time in a camp." Miss Carter smiled. "Believe me, no one ever does. But, sweetheart, better safe than sorry." The last box on the bed was opened, and Jimmy pulled Father's old work boots out, and some of his trousers and shirts, and winter coat. Miss Carter said, "Whose are these?" Jimmy picked up one of Father's boots. "They're Pa's." "Is he waiting for you in Flint?" Mother said, "We're not exactly sure where he is," but Miss Carter said, "You gotta leave him. Only take what you'll need." Jimmy wouldn't let go of the boot. Mother took it from him and said, "I'm sure your father has plenty of things in Flint, Jimmy. We have to leave these." She set Father's boots on the floor. She said, "Well, that's it." "Wait! There's one more box. My essays and dresses and shoes." We looked around. There was nothing. I slapped both of my hands over my mouth and felt like the ceiling was crashing down on me. "Oh, Mother." I left my box under the bed. And Gary, we've got to go back and get it. Even before Mother could tell me what we all knew, I heard, "Well, kiddo, the best laid schemes of mice and men." The pain that ripped through my heart and soul shut the bad brain right up. Was wondering if they were going to remember to get that box. Did you catch that last chapter? Chapter 21. If you could forget about the way the boxcar smelled like a toilet and ignore the heat and the darkness and the hard floor and the flies, you could say it was pretty comfortable. You could say that, but you'd be telling one of the biggest lies ever. We sat with our backs against the front of the boxcar on old pieces of cardboard. There were 2 other families sitting at the other end. Jimmy and Eppie left me alone with Mother and Miss Carter. They wanted to sit closer to the huge half-open door to watch Illinois, then Indiana, then Michigan zoom by. Miss Carter said, "Breathe out of your mouth till the train moves and air starts circulating." Mr. Steele Long's truck was bouncy and bumpy, but compared to this train, it was like riding in a brand new Buick. It would take 8 hours to get to Detroit. Miss Carter said, then it would be easy to find a freight in Flint. If we felt up to it, we could even walk there in a day and a half. As the train got moving, air swirled through, the flies stopped buzzing, and once we were in the country, breathing got a little easier. We rolled through green fields, past farm after farm, and every time we went by a road, we could see cars waiting for us to pass. Bells warned people that our train was barreling east. I was glad Epiphany wasn't sitting with us. Not only did she have a very fresh mouth, she was also very verbose, and not in a good way. She was leading a little too far out of the door when my second brain said, "Oh, kiddo, one quick kick and bye-bye, yuppie." That was the first time the bad brain ever made me smile. Mother said to Miss Carter, Julia, isn't this terribly unsafe? Shoot, girl. Yeah, it's all unsafe. You're gonna have to be extra careful when you get to that camp. That's unsafe, too. If you don't know what you're doing. What do you mean? It's just like anything else. There's just enough bad folks in the camp to make it so you gotta keep your guard up at all times. It's especially hard on women, and even worse for little girls. She looked at me, and a shiver went through my heart. You just gotta keep your wits about you and don't let no one get in your business. Keep it to yourself while you're on the road alone. Mother's 111 lines jumped out. Always let folks think your husband or your brother is with you. Always tell him he's going to be back later tonight. There's strength in numbers, so let folks think there's a lot of y'all. You're a good-looking woman. You're going to have to be careful not to draw a lot of attention you don't want. Mother's jaws tightened. And don't let no one get too familiar either, a man or woman. So don't let them know where y'all are really from. They'll start prying, and before you know it, they're looking to help you out in some way. That ain't too kind or helpful at all. Just keep your head low. Don't look weak and don't look scared. The train stopped in a city called Battle Creek, and 2 white women climbed in with us. The next time it stopped, what felt like 4 days later, someone walked by and said into the boxcar, "Detroit, all clear! Detroit, all clear!" Miss Carter said, "Come on, Peg, we need to find a hobo and see what's going on in Flint." Jimmy whispered to my ear, "A hobo is someone who rides the rails all over the country." I already knew that, but I said, "Thanks, Jimmy." Once we got our bundles and stepped off the train, we walked up to a rough and tumble-looking white old man. He told us which cars were going toward Flint. Epiphany said, "Eck, he smells bad." The old man heard her. "If I was you, I would quit worrying about how folks smell. You got bigger fish to fry. You need to start worrying about that man with 3 eyes and a hunting knife that was asking round about where you gonna be sleeping tonight, girlie." The hobo walked away. Sweet dreams. Mother frowned, looked at the boxcar we were supposed to get in, and said, "Julia, why don't you come to Flint? You said there's strength in numbers." Miss Carter hugged Mother. "Peg, you'll be fine. Flint's too small and country for my tastes. You're welcome to come with me if you want." Mother said, "Thank you, but we have to find Roscoe. Get right into the shanty town. You'll need somewhere to rest, at least one night." "Thank you, Julia. You're good people. I wish y'all the best. Travel safe and look after each other." Time has a way of misbehaving when you're anxious or nervous. When Father was lost on the lake, time lollygagged and every second took an hour to pass. When we were on the train to Flint, time hitched a ride on Jimmy's rocket ship, and the trip took 2 seconds. I spent half my time wondering what we'd do if we found Father. I spent the other half wondering what we'd do if we didn't. The train stopped and someone banged on the side of the boxcar. "Flint, all clear! Flint, all clear!" He was a raggedy man with a beautiful curly black and white beard. Mother said, "Excuse me, sir, do you know how to get to Flint?" "Flint's down that way and the camp's up there." Mother said, "How far is Flint, sir?" "Downtown's about half-hour's walk." "Y'all look fresh. Shouldn't have no troubles there." Jimmy said, "How far's the camp, sir?" He pointed at some woods. "See that glow? Supper's just about ready." Mother said, "Thank you. Do you know who we see to get somewhere to sleep? A train just left going west. Should be plenty of huts opened up. Ask for Stu. Is there a charge? He laughed. If there was, man, this place would be empty. You just give what you can, food, work, anything. Folks find a way. Thank you very much. Don't suppose none of y'all smoke or chew tobacco? No, we don't, sir. Well then, may peace like a river come to you. He tipped his rough hat and walked on. Mother said, it won't be bad. We'll only be here for a night. I'll go to your grandmother's tomorrow and we'll be able to leave. Jimmy said, don't worry, Ma. Whatever happens, don't forget what Pa said about us being a family taking a trip somewhere. To somewhere named Wonderful. We're going to get there sooner rather than later. Right, Deza? You know it, Jimmy. He pointed at an orange glow and bowed. Now, ladies and ladies, next stop, a place called Wonderful. Starting tomorrow, we get to begin part 2 of The Mighty Miss Malone. We are probably 3/4 of the way through the book. Part 2 is called Gone from Gary, late summer of 1936 to late spring of 1937. Flint, Michigan. So just about a year's time will be what is included in part 2. Alright, questions for these 2 chapters. Why was Deza impressed with her temporary room? Is it because A, it was big, B, it was more beautiful than any other room she'd ever seen, C, it had a chandelier, D, it was attached to its own bathroom. Number 2, how does Jimmy explain to Mama his friendship with Marvin? A, Marvin liked his singing and they became friends. B, Marvin taught Jimmy how to be a criminal. C, Jimmy followed him around until Marvin started to hang out with him. D, they have been friends since they were little. 3, true or false? Jimmy always ran numbers for Marvin. Now, we might not know what that means, but in the book they talk about it. Did Jimmy run numbers for Marvin? This says he always ran numbers for Marvin. True or false? Who were Deza and Jimmy talking to about leaving Chicago? Were they talking to A, Eppie and Mrs. Clark, B, Ethel and Miss Lucy, C, Eppie and Miss Carter, or D, nobody? Number 5, what does riding the links mean? Does that mean, I don't know why it says riding the links. I think maybe what the person who wrote these questions meant to say was riding the rails. I don't remember reading a line that said riding the links. So let's say that that's supposed to be riding the rails. What does that saying mean? Does it mean A, hopping on a train, B, riding a bus, C, riding a horse, or D, taking a plane? Number 6, what did Deza leave behind? Bummer. A, her picture of Clarice, B, her father's books, C, a box of clothes, or D, her dictionary. 7, how was Deza feeling at the end of this chapter? Extend a response. Make sure you have capitals, your sentence is organized, you have punctuation, and you are trying your best to sound out those words to spell them correctly. Just a couple more questions. Number 8, where was the train going to take them? A, Detroit, B, Gary, C, Flint, D, Nashville. Now this is kind of tricky. Think about that first train. Where was that train taking them? Okay. Number 9, why do you think Miss Carter warns Mama about the camps? And what advice does she give her? So why does Miss Carter want Mama to be extra careful, is what it's asking. And is there any advice that she gives Mama? Okay, extend a response again. Number 10, how long is the walk to Flint? Is it A, 50 minutes, B, half an hour, C, 4 hours, D, 15 minutes? Number 11. 11 and 12 are also extended responses, so have those COPS, C-O-P-S. What do you think is going to happen in the next chapter? It's a great question. So they're getting ready to stay the night at the camp. They're very close to Flint, Michigan, which is their destination. They are going to try to find father. They're going to try to stay with Mama's mother. So those are all kinds of things that they're hoping to do. What do you think, knowing that, is going to happen next? Do you think the Malones will find father, yes or no? Why or why not? So explain why you think that they'll find him and why, or explain why you do not think they're going to find him and why you think that. Okay? So that's it for chapters 20 and 21. Can you believe we've read this much of this book? We just have close to maybe 10 chapters left. Yeah, about 10 or 11 chapters left. So we're getting there. Tomorrow we'll read chapter 22, and we'll have our reading lesson in the morning. Hope you have a great night, and I hope you enjoy the pictures of Mr. Keller and I playing tennis, and hopefully you got outside today. Have a good one, guys.